Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 8th episode of Blade Talk. And we actually have a topic today, and that topic is grinding belt selection, grit progression, and then my absolute favorite, hand sanding. Yeah. So just give me a second. We've got some technical issues that I need to sort out. And there we go. So today, in the house, we have got Mr. Stuart. I wish I had an Iron Man shirt, but don't. Smith. Mr. Allen, I wish I never moved down to Cape Town and became a hippie, Mitchell. And then one guy in the house that I'm not going to make fun of, which is ABS American Bladesmith Society Mastersmith Kevin Harvey. Why am I not making fun of you? I've no idea. Because I still have a hell of a lot to learn from you. Okay, so we're going to start with Stuart. Brother, you are right and center. Tell the people who you are.
Hi, I'm Stuart Smith. I'm a member of the American Bladesmith Society as a journeyman smith. I'm a member of the South African Knife Makers Guild, a member of the Cape Knife Makers Guild, former chairman of the Southern African Bladesmith Association. Although I don't know if it is pretty much former, and I've been making knives for about 20 years now. Yeah, that's me.
Hi,
Alan,
I'm Alan Mitchell. I've been making knives for about 7 or 8 years, and my fatal mistake was Stuart Smith taught me how to make my first knife. I'm a member of the Knife Makers Guild of South Africa and the Sabre Knife Makers Group as well. And that's about it.
But Alan, what specific function do you perform within the KGSA?
I'm currently secretary of KGSA.
Excellent.
So that makes me main trouble causer and tea maker. So both of which I'm very good at.
Main peanut in the packet. Yeah, we all know, brother.
He doesn't like it when they make him to wear the short skirts.
No. I mean, if you want to talk to the CEO and you're not nice to the secretary, you don't get close to the CEO, right? So we all know every dude in a company, dude or girl, they all report to the secretary. So that's where the real power lies, man. And then we have got that main peanut in the packet, right? Mastersmith Kevin Harvey. Kevin, would you mind giving us a bit of background?
Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm a member of the Knife Makers Guild and currently serving as its chairman. This will be my 3rd year serving. Alan is my secretary. We make a great team. There's us on the committee. And our main chore in the year is to cater and prepare for our annual Knife Makers Guild exhibition. I began making knives at the age of 12. That was back in 1982. My granddad made knives as a hobby and I learned from him. And it was only once I met, at that stage, just my girlfriend, Heather. She was a blacksmith and was making Damascus, and she was forging knives. And she, in fact, was the one who encouraged me to join her to the blade school in Arkansas back in 1998. And since then, I've been fully converted, and predominantly all my knives these days are forged, mostly out of Damascus.
So you don't practice knife making lights anymore?
Knife making light? Oh, the stock removal. Yeah. Certainly there's a place for that. Nothing wrong with stock removal.
If it's a way to get a knife done, yeah, it works.
It's vegan knife making.
Vegan knife making. So that's a thing. That is a thing.
Way to go.
So Kevin, you got lost there again?
I'd say if you want to get dirty and sweaty, then forging is the way to go.
I'm talking
about knife making.
I like that. Right, so Stu, I'm going to put you on the spot, buddy. Do you have a start-off joke of the day for us?
Oh boy, I've got a long one. Well, joke.
Okay, go.
Back at the end of World War II, there was Jean-Claude, the world famous World War II French fighter pilot. And when he came home from the war, he was treated to a ticker tape parade through the streets of Paris. And a woman threw herself upon the car that he was standing in. And she goes, "Oh, Jean-Claude, you are so amazing." And he goes, "Oui, I am Jean-Claude, the great World War II French fighter pilot. And I only have the best." And he grabs her and he puts her in the car with him. And she goes, "Oh, Jean-Claude, this car, she is magnificent." And he goes, Oui, I am Jean-Claude, the great World War II French fighter pilot, and I only have the best car." And they go to a restaurant in the evening, the best restaurant in all of Paris. And she goes, "Oh, Jean-Claude, this restaurant, she's amazing." And he goes, "Oui, I am Jean-Claude, the great World War II French fighter pilot. And when I eat only at the best restaurant." Anyways, after much eating and feasting, they go back to the hotel. And of course, the biggest hotel in all of Paris. And she goes, "Oh, Jean-Claude, this hotel, she's amazing." And he goes, I keep wanting to say, "Si, oui, I am Jean-Claude. I am the great World War II French fighter pilot. And I only live in the greatest hotel in all of Paris." They go up to the bedroom and they start making love. And he's taking off her clothes, and suddenly he stops and he pours some white wine across her breast. And he says, she goes, "Oh, Jean-Claude, what are you doing?" And he says, "I am Jean-Claude. I am the great World War II French fighter pilot. And when I eat white meat, I drink white wine." And then he works his way down to her stomach, and suddenly he stops and he pours some red wine over her stomach. He goes, "Oh, Jean-Claude, what are you doing?" And he says, "I am Jean-Claude. I am the great World War II French fighter pilot. And when I eat red meat, I drink red wine." And finally gets down to the nether regions. And while he's pleasuring her, he suddenly stops. He takes a bottle of cognac, he pours it over and lights it and sets it on fire. And he says, "Jean-Claude, what are you doing?" He says, "I am Jean-Claude. I am the great World War II French fighter pilot. And when I go down in flames."
You had me worried there for a while. What is this with your mic mute button? All right, then. Thank you, brother. Just putting you on the spot.
You're welcome.
It's appreciated. Alan, your turn is coming up. Don't you worry, buddy. All right, so Kevin, grinding belt selection, grit progression, and then hand sanding. Have you got a quick little tip for us?
Yeah. I try and keep my stock as unvaried and uncomplicated as possible. I basically keep 3, maybe 4 belts, grit sizes in stock. I forge to about 2 to 3 millimeters thick on the cutting edge, and that allows me to start my rough grinding with a 60 grit belt. I feel that by starting too rough at a 36, it just adds another belt to your inventory. And if you were to heat treat a knife with those very rough 36 grit belts, scratches, you set yourself up for thread cracking probably during your heat treat. So I started at 60 and then do a quick once over with a 180 grit belt before heat treat. Not so much of a polishing belt, but just smooth out any rough scratches prior to heat treat that one can minimize the risk of cracks happening during the hardening. I will then, after heat treat, go back to a 60 grit and machine all the way down to almost final size, and then back to the 180 and the 400. So, and from there, I'm doing my hand polishing.
All the way from 400 grit?
Yeah. I use stones rather a lot, carborundum stones, aluminium oxide stones, just regular sharpening stones. Those
what, in lieu of sandpaper?
To crispen up the definition and make the symmetry what you want it to be, because a lot of people have trouble with getting their runouts, their plunge lines perfect on the belt grinder. So I do it as close as I can, and I believe I do a pretty good job on the belt grinder. But to make it perfect, I'm stoning it in with a sharpening stone. And then
how does the run?
With a rigid polishing stick, then to hand polish from from a 400 is quick.
Yeah. How do you stop your stones, the corner of the stone from wearing, where you try and get into that run-in? Do you have to dress the stone every time?
If you've got rounded plunge lines, then the stone, just being friable, it blends itself into the corner very nicely and takes the shape of your plunge line. So you want the stone to wear. But I never dress the stone.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, I only have 3 grits of stone, C4. It's extremely important to be able to count, but it's more important to learn how to forge weld. I only have 3 grits.
Yeah.
It's a 150, a 220, and a 400. And I find that I need to dress those stones fairly often. But I also find just taking the 400, for instance, and slapping it against a disc sander with a 220 grit just smooths it out very, very quickly.
Yeah. You can use them on very effectively.
Nice. That's a good idea. I need to invest in diamond stones. Now, Kevin, you obviously, and myself and Stuart and Alan has all spent time with you. And I envy your selection of stones, of sharpening stones and honing stones. And now that's obviously a selection that you've built up over years. Is there any place specifically in South Africa that is your go-to supplier for stones, or do you import them, sir?
If you're wanting Japanese water stones, then the place to get them from would be Blade Gallery out of Seattle.
Nice fun. We like that.
Japanese water stones. All of them, in fact. But the regular Arkansas stones, I bought them on site in Arkansas. We visited and traveled around the state one year after Blade Show, and there's a small town called Hot Springs in Arkansas, and they've got quarries there where they mine it, a bit like marble and granite. And you've got a lot of home industries that will purchase the fractured and the flawed stones from the commercial enterprises, and they cut them up smaller into odd sizes, and they sell them from little workshops and these little signs on the side of the road. Knife sharpening stones, inquire within.
Oh, excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Sounds cool.
So I brought back in my
sounds like I have to visit place.
All right, so Sean asked me a question. Sorry, guys. Sean asked me a question during the week. So he doesn't have a belt sander yet. So some tips on hand sanding and from filed bevels. Kevin, do you like a soft sanding stick or a hard stick, or do you use something to buffer or in between, like a piece of rubber or leather in between your sanding stick and the actual sandpaper?
Initially, they must be hard and flat, because that's the way you're going to get your surfaces true. You're going to get nice, crisp and clean corners by using a rigid stick. But right at the end, for your final satin polish, my sticks have just got cheap leather glued onto them.
Oh, excellent.
And what grit is that, though, Kevin?
Typically, carbon steel blades, I won't go much finer than 800 or 1,000 grit. Okay. It's a bit senseless mirror polishing a carbon steel knife. I don't find it very comfortable.
So on that,
much finer.
Right. So on Damascus, you would hand sand up to what grit, Kevin?
I'll hand sand up to maybe 1,200 before etching, but then after etch, I'll go as fine as 2,000.
Okay. And on a carbon blade, say for instance you're doing a 10 series blade and you want to show a home on?
Yeah. A carbon steel knife, I only go up to about 800 or 1,000.
Okay. All right, Stu, yourself, dude. If you're doing a carbon blade, up to what grit do you go? And what is your let's take a step back.
Start from the beginning. Yeah.
So what is your belt progression?
When I can get them, I enjoy Norton glaze. I think they work really well with high carbon steels, especially the harder carbon steels, like the 52-100 or silver steel. But as of now, I'm using the VSM ceramics, the red ones, mainly because that's what's available. But I started a 36 grit to hog off all the fire scale. Then I go from the 36 to a 60 grit to do my final grinding and touch-ups. I don't overly concern myself with the symmetry of my run-ins. Hang on, my phone's gone kaput. What's going on? Ah, there we go. I'm not concerned myself with the symmetry of the run-ins yet. I do that after heat treating, and then I put the file guide on, and I make sure that everything's lined up and nice and neat afterwards. But I don't quench, like Kevin says, I don't quench in the 36 grit, because those deep 36 grit marks, when you're grinding them out after quenching, a lot of them look like cracks, and it's a stressful time trying to grind that knife out. So once I've ground to 60 grit, I'll quench it, whether it be selective or full. And then after tempering, I'll grind it from a fresh 36 grit straight to an A165 in gators, from A165 to A65, A45, A30. And you spend a lot of time on the A30, ensuring that all the A45 grit marks are gone. Once that's gone on a hunting knife, it shouldn't take you more than about 10 minutes to polish aside, with starting from 400 grit up to 800 grit. And if I'm going to etch it, I stop at 800. If I'm not going to etch it, I also leave it at 800. It's got a nice, neat finish, and and I'm very happy with those finishes. Like Kevin said, I don't like going to high grit finishes on plain carbon steel, especially if it's going to be used. So yeah, that's it.
Excellent, man. Thank you, brother. And Alan, what little trick you got up your sleeve, brother?
Well, so I'm listening to Stuart and Kevin, and I learned from both of them. So I pretty much follow the same pattern that they go through. The one thing I do that really helps, though, is like Stuart said, when you get to those gator belts and you start going from, let's say, the 45 to the 30, what I do that really helps me out is I bought a pair of glasses from one of these pharmacies that are just a 2 times magnification pair of reading glasses. And then I've got a high-powered light that I put above me. So the light is right above, and then I've got these glasses on that really help magnify what I'm looking at. So I can then identify, as I go through the grinding process, I can see the scratches I need to take out. That way, I've got enough light to find exactly what I'm looking at, and I've got enough power that I can actually identify everything. So when I've finished the A30, and then go to a 400 grit hand sand, it makes it a lot easier, because I've got all those nasty scratches from the 60 grit out through the 180 belt, and then the 400 belts as well. So it makes the process a lot easier when I go through hand sanding. I find that if I don't have enough light and I can't magnify what I'm looking at, I get to the hand sanding, and then I notice the scratch that I left in, and then it's a mission to try and get it out. So it just makes it a bit easier. Light and magnification.
Now, I've got something to
Excellent.
add.
That is appreciated.
So can I? I'd like to add one more thing. Sorry, Alan mentioned light. I've invested in a 300 watt light bulb, a bloody stadium light, that is right over my polishing bench. I turned that thing on, and I tell you something, you're never finished when that light is on. Okay, you only stop when you think that you've spent too long at 800 grit. You take it out into normal light, and it's perfect, because that 300 watt bulb hides nothing. You can see every tiny little insignificant scratch, every fishhook, everything. And it's a really good way to make sure that you don't let anything slide,
But something even much less powerful is just the regular LED tubes. And what I have found, and it might just be a little quirk that I have revealed by accident, but if your tubes run, for example, while you're examining scratches that are north-south, if the tube is at cross angles to the direction of the scratches you're looking for, they stand out much more clearly. So the tubes run from my left to right at my polishing bench, and if I mount my knife on the polishing block on my workbench, satin polishing. Now I'm polishing forward and backwards, but my light is orientated left to right. And that seems to highlight the scratches easily.
Excellent. Well, I when I work, I like a large overhead light that gives me ambient light, so I can actually see what I'm looking for. In other words, just finding stuff around the bench. But then I prefer 3 different independent light sources. So one directly in front of me, pointing towards me, and then 2 from the side. And as I'm sanding, I just tilt my head ever so slightly. Those 3 different light sources highlight any little minute scratch that you have, and it beats just getting up and walking outside. But what I also found, I don't know if for the guys who've been following me for a while, that halo light, that half round light I had over my bench, that gives you a light source from 180 degrees above your work, and there is no hiding anything from there. But just one thing, I used 4 strips of high-intensity LED lights, and man, you spend 2 hours in there and you work outside, you can't see squat. So it does. That's why I stopped using it. Yeah, you can see very, very, very minute scratches, but it is sacrificing your eyesight. We have got a question. Maple House Knives having difficulty achieving a crisp Hommon on 01 tool steel. Now, obviously, this is not the Bowler K460, which is equivalent to 01 tool steel that we find in South Africa. Anyone have experience with proper 01 tool steel and polishing Hommons on that? Kevin, I'm specifically looking at you.
Alloy steel. So any of the more complex alloys are not highly conducive to giving beautiful, what they're referring to as crazy Hommon. If you're after a Hommon, you need to go for the best you can, following sound, metallurgy, and heat treatment advice. And you're going to get what you get, but it's not known for a fancy Hommon.
Okay, so Dave, that just answers your question there. So, W21095. So the purer the steel, in other words, the less alloying components there is in it, the crisper your Hommon will become. And then we've got a question from Jack. Kevin, what brand of sandpaper do you like using, sir?
I'm using the Cleanspore cabinet paper. It's like a creamy white color. PS33.
PS33.
For some reason, it's designed for wood, but it's fantastic on steel. What I don't like is these black carborundum papers. That's for body shops for sandpapering cars in between spray paint. Layers of spray paint. That's not for knife making. The regular stuff you get in your hardware store generally is no good.
Yeah, generally those is dry. Those are dry paper, and specifically for woodworkers. So if it's brown or a light grey, I personally found that it is more for woodwork. If it doesn't say wet and dry at the back, don't even use it. This is easy as that. And then we've got a question from Nick over here. So the finishes will change based on the intended use of the knife? Yes, it will. I'm not going to sit there and hand sand a knife that I know is going to be used out in the wild in its natural habitat. I'm not going to definitely not sand that thing up to a 2,500 grit. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that mirrors are a lot cheaper than knives, right? A lot easier to come by, and well, they might be an opportunity for guys if you really want to make handmade mirrors, because I don't know if that's the thing, but maybe you can start a new industry.
Well, that brings up another question, though. Sometimes if you go to a really decent 800 hand sanded finish, there's the ability for that blade to rust is substantially reduced than if you go for something that isn't as nicely finished. And I find that if I finish with it, if it's belt finished, the likelihood of it actually rusting is much higher, especially with your plain carbon steel blades.
Agreed.
You know what I recommend?
I'm sorry.
I'm still here.
Thank you.
No, I'm
Thank you. You didn't want me to say anything.
Sorry, man. I obviously
I
found
wanted
a
to say,
keyboard
Hang on
shortcut
a second.
somewhere.
You know what I really
anyways, I was sorry, Alan. I was
Yeah.
going to say, when I do my Foucault knives, because Foucault knives is a redundant term. Foucault means knife. Okay, so when I do a Foucault, I do a machine finish. I finished it to a really neat A30 finish. The reason for that is because the way the knife is sharpened is by putting the entire bevel on the stone. So going to all the trouble of putting an 800 or 1000 or even a mirror finish on it seems redundant, because the first time the guy has to sharpen the knife, he's going to scratch up the entire finish. However, if you're making a knife with a conventional secondary bevel, which is like what most knives are made with, then yes, an 800 grit finish or higher would be obviously more beneficial, because you're only sharpening the little edge.
But you're going to polish the flat.
Yeah, you'll polish the flats, but you sharpen your bevels as normal. But like I said, with the Foucault, the bevels are the edge. So my famous 0 degree grind video that went viral because people were arguing about what 0 degree bevel was, which is great. Nothing like negative comments to pump up your numbers.
Yeah, man. I still believe that I started that.
You possibly did, yeah.
I hope so. Because 0 degree means nothing. You've got nothing in there, man. Nothing. Yeah, 90 degrees is more than 0. You should call it a half degree edge, and people will fall for that. You will sell a hell of a lot more Foucaults.
I just call it Scandi edge these days.
So Hendrik Steven Kraus is asking, what do you guys hand sand Damascus before etching? Hand sand, I hate hand sanding. So I will grind. Let's run through my belt progression. So normally, if it's a forged blade, I will do my rough grinding on a 36 grit, then clean up with an 80 grit. From the 80 grit, I'll go onto a Trizac Beta A1, what's it, 160, 120?
160. Yeah, 160.
160. Yeah, which is equivalent to about a 120 grit belt. So I'll clean up on that.
It's a little bit finer. It's a little bit finer, I think.
220? Okay,
maybe.
That's now splitting sandpaper.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'll finish my edge exactly the same as Kevin. Before you go and into a quench, you want to limit the amount of potential little heat sinks that's there. And that's a little trick that I obviously picked up from Mastersmith Kevin Harvey over there. All right, that was beaten into him. Well, Stuart got it beaten into him, and Stuart passed on the knowledge without me having to get hit, which was brilliant. Yeah, thank you, Stu. And then after heat treat, I'll go back onto it all depends on how thick my edge is, maybe back to an 80 or just clean off on the A160. Then I'll go through A160, 65, 45, 30. If it is Damascus, I will go up to I'll then continue on an A16 and an A6. And then once I've got my A6 down, I will hand sand an 800 and edge. Done. That's it. Because I'm a lazy ass knife maker. Yeah, so I learned how to use the belt grinder. In other words, the speed or mechanical sanding machine that we all invest big bucks into. So just my knife maker's tip for today is, when you spend big money on that electric hand file of yours, in other words, also known as a belt grinder, know how to freaking use the thing. Yeah, it's not just a pretty thing to handle or to strip grit off brand new belts. It is there for it to do the work. You spent the money. All you need to do is hold on to the piece and let the grits do the work. Yeah.
I machine finish most of my Damascus as well, because what I do is I grind to an A30 and I make sure that all my grits are on, because if you etch the A30 Damascus, you pull it out. If there's any grit that's coarser than the A30, it shows up and you can quickly go back and clean it up. And then I etch the deep etch, you know, the way we like to get the chatoyance with, you can feel with your fingernail. And then once I've done that, I go back to, I've got the equivalent of a 1200 belt here in my workshop. It's like paper, it feels like the surface of paper. And I turn the speed down really low and I do regrind all my bevels at the 1200. And then I give it a light buff on the buffing machine, and that's what brings out all the chatoyance for me. And I don't even hand sand it.
Low and slow, buddy. Low and slow.
Yeah.
Low and slow. And make sure you can see, because like my good old dad said, if you can't see, well, then you can't see. Yeah. So, Kevin, on that point of seeing.
If you don't know it's supposed to be difficult, it's not difficult.
yeah, it becomes easy, man.
Yeah.
It's like becoming a YouTuber. It's easy. Yeah. All right. So
Oh, everybody
do you
died.
polish with any lubrication? Jean Wilke is asking. So I'm going to jump up. Yes, I use paraffin. Paraffin, turpentine. I like turps better than paraffin, but it really bites. But you get used to it. Yeah. Man up. I use turpentine.
Soapy water for me.
Kevin?
Yeah, with the cabinet paper I use, it's dry. And I rather like that. I can see what I'm doing. I don't have that mud and sludge on my blade that I've constantly got to wipe off. Paraffin stinks in the workshop. It's flammable near your workbench. It gets in your skin and gives you dermatitis. I don't like polishing with any paraffin.
Dermatitis? Well, now I'm not going to show my hand anymore. That might be half my issue.
The cabinet paper that I use dry. The grit falls off if I use water or anything.
Okay. Alan, yourself, what do you use?
I've tried a couple of things and nothing's really worked. So I also I don't use anything at all. But what I have learned is I use paraffin on the stones. So that seems to maintain the life of the stones, but I wouldn't use it on sandpaper. Not for me.
Okay, so you're saying you go in dry?
No lubrication, man. And it works. But when I'm using stones, yeah, I've got to soak them in paraffin because it just gets rid of that build up inside it, and it just prolongs the life of the stone. So that's
interesting.
All right. So Anthony is saying, could we cover stainless Damascus as well in terms of finishing grit? Dude, my first comment on that is you picked that crap to work.
Can't help you there.
Yeah. It's there's two words in there or one phrase, stainless. And I need to clarify, it's stainless, not stain freaking never. It's only because I can, yeah? I don't have the bucks to buy the stainless stuff.
Seems like, man. Well, look, Balbach is selling... no, but I have plans, unfortunately, to do so in the future. The problem is, even at the best price, it's about $3,000 for enough steel to make 2 knives, and it's a bit of a stretch on the capital. So you got to save up if you want to make stainless Damascus, eh? And the other thing as well, you can't really heat treat it yourself if you don't have a temperature controlled oven. So you got to send it to somebody who's got experience with stainless Damascus. Usually Des Horn does most of it, I think. I don't know who else does stainless Damascus heat treating.
I think there's a market for it, though. I mean, in terms of using it for a knife, the only times I would ever use it would be for a folding knife or a chef's knife. But other than that, I wouldn't use it, though. I wouldn't have it. I wouldn't see a reason to use it.
Well, there's a certain exclusivity to the stainless Damascus, which is what a lot of collectors like as well. So there is the ability to sell the knife at definitely a higher price because of the stainless Damascus.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree on the chef's knife thing. Yeah, the folding knife, the broken knife. Yeah, man, we got over that. Yeah, we make displays, not broken knives. Kevin, your views on stainless Damascus specifically?
Well, a lot of collectors will appreciate it because of the maintenance, but you're limited by the patterns that the company offers. If you're making Damascus yourself, certainly 90% of the fun is in pattern creation. So, whether you want to make steel yourself, there's very little carbon Damascus that's available for some that. So you're either going to be making your own carbon Damascus or you're going to be buying stainless.
I agree. It's much funner just making the stuff yourself than buying. But for I'd say about 95% of knife makers out there that who really don't have a choice. And one note I want to lead into here is, please don't think that by the choice of your material, you are going to get a better price for the knife. The knife is directly related to the quality of the finish, and then obviously the name that you have in the market. And for the guys that are still believing that your name doesn't count for much, and the one gentleman we had in earlier, now picking up that we've got our qualifications behind our names and left because of that, dude, good luck selling a knife. Welcome to the fucking real world. Yeah, you want to be the best at what you do.
I saw that.
Go for qualification. It's one thing to sit back and say, I have got, I'm a world-class maker, unless you've got the approval of your peers, yeah, those that are better than you, not morally, physically, in a skill level, better than you, and see that you are at the same level and give you that recognition. Yeah.
When that guy posted his comment, my interpretation of it was, we're not trying to toot our own horns. We want the people watching to know that we have the qualification and the experience to offer this advice, and we're not just some guy who just started knife making and decided to do a YouTube channel or whatever, and we don't know what the hell we're talking about, you know. Granted, we've all got things to learn, but we do have. I mean, I've been making knives for 20 years. You've been doing it for 11 years. Alan's been doing it. I mean, Kevin, geez, his combined experience outranks us all. So, you know, it's just to know that there is weight to what we have to say. It's not an ego thing. It's just to help guys who've just joined us to know that, you know, we know what we're talking about, you know, mostly.
Damn, dude. I should have put you up seeing the screen when you said that. Yeah. Damn it. All right, so Kevin, another thing. I did ask you to prepare a joke of the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a very funny story, knife related. I remember when with you guys at the ABS Introduction to Bladesmithing class. Obviously, your studio name is Heaven Forge, and you guys are accredited by the American Bladesmith Society as the official school. Stuart, I'm going to mute your mic, buddy. Oh,
wonderful! That was a good move, Niels. Thank you.
We've got the miners, birds in Stuart's shop. We're going to build Stuart and I'll make a project video. Yeah, we're going to build him a little sound booth where we can get him in. But sorry, what I was leading to is Heaven Forge is the only accredited school on the African continent regarding teaching introduction to bladesmithing, accredited by the American Bladesmith Society. Am I correct, sir?
That's correct.
Excellent. And we had a quick chat earlier, and because of the lockdown, your classes have been you cancelled your classes as well. And you were telling me about updating a tutorial that you were busy with, or that you have done in the past.
Yeah, you know, last year the Knife Makers Guild ran a competition for non-guild knife makers, and it was a little narrow tang utility hunter knife. And I did a tutorial on the construction of a narrow tang, so focusing on the guard and the woodwork. And there've been a lot of requests that I expand on that tutorial to include the forging sequence and go into grinding and metallurgy and different heat treatment methods for different steels. So that's what I've been working on. And, you know, just yesterday alone, I took close to 600 photos that need to be sorted through and find the nicest ones and then start putting them together as a tutorial that makes sense. So hopefully that's going to help a lot of people.
Excellent. And I think everyone here has made a little video and recorded some of the stuff that they've done, and we'll take Stuart off his little mic ban. And all of you guys have got have had videos that you recorded.
I'll cover my head.
The amount of time it takes to now set up the camera and then record it takes you about three times longer to then to that knife. Now I know that the effort that you went through, Stu, dude, that mic of yours is killing me, man. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We just had to mute Stuart again. The amount of time that you already spent in that tutorial, which we're going to take a look at in a moment. The amount of time that you spent on that, I need to say thank you for the amount of just sheer friggin' time. How long do you believe that you have spent on this tutorial already, Kevin?
About 2 weeks now during lockdown, just on the blades. But
Okay.
in previous handle section, that was probably another at least a good week. So, so to get to the point where I am now, it's 3 weeks on just the photography.
So that's on the updates to the current tutorial.
Yes, but now,
okay. So
I'm not.
How long did it take to set up the original tutorial?
Say again.
How long did it take you to set up the original tutorial?
Well, it was maybe a week of the making, and then probably another week in the editing. And I'm not much into the computer. It takes me extra long. I still type with 2 fingers.
Okay, so we're going to take you guys into the Heaven Forge website. I just want to get everyone on here. Stuart, I think the problem might be your microphone.
Yeah, mute me. Mute me.
No, see. Mastersmith Kevin and his wife, Mastersmith Heather Harvey. Yes, it is. Kevin, how many husband and wife Mastersmith teams are there out there? 3?
We've got three couples, I believe.
Mike and Audrey,
Adam DeRosier, and
yes.
Then Audrey Drape and her husband Mike, although he's not a mastersmith, but he's a full-time knife maker. But couples, as far as I'm aware now, 2. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so you guys, Kevin and Heather, became Heaven Forge, and we've got your website up. So, I mean, this is the go-to for local knife makers. From a list of suppliers, second one to the right. So if we start to the right-hand button, there's a contact list of suppliers, knife care instructions, a gallery of past work, who you guys are, Damascus rings that you do, and I'm a proud owner. So my wedding band, that's a funny story, but we'll get to that at a later episode. My wedding band is a Heaven Forge Damascus ring, and then we've got knives for sale and then courses. Now, Kevin, the tutorial that we talked about, okay, this felt knife tutorial, where are we going to find that? That's under courses, am I correct?
Under courses, and then there's downloads on the right-hand side. There you go.
So bottom right-hand side. Okay, so if we click on this, and that'll take you to downloads, tutorials, and presentations. And there is 4 that you've done already. Making a narrow tang knife. That is the one we're looking for. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So the top one on the list. Okay, so you guys want to definitely go and download this thing. So click on the link. It's going to open up on here, and that is the knife that you will then be making. So I'm going to full screen this only. And Kevin, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a couple of seconds. I'm just going to zoom a couple of second rundown on this. So you start off saying these are the tools that you need: formal drill, 3-ball, carbide, narrow tang rasp. Part 1. You're either going to shape to forge to shape. Did you cater for stock removal at all in this, or is it purely smithing?
In the update, there is a stainless steel stock remove option as well.
Okay. And as you can see, detailed photo number 9, those little shoulders, when we talk about squaring up a shoulder, it's not making the corner square, but actually, and you can't see my hand, so it doesn't help.
I've lost all my sound. I can't hear anything.
Stu, I can still
now
hear you,
it's
man. You're off mute again.
Yeah, no, it's because of the bloody birds.
I can't.
But Niels is gone. I can't hear him.
Well, I guess it's just you and me then. So, welcome to the
Yeah.
Stuart and Alan show.
Oh, Kevin, what happened?
He's gone sideways. Stu, did those birds get a banjo?
No, that's my Model Smith phone.
Okay, I'm going to mute myself again. Niels is muted. Why's Niels muted? Yeah. Nope, you're still muted, Niels.
You're still on mute.
Get rid of your mute sign. No, Alan's muted.
I
Niels,
thought
you have
I'd
too much
mute myself
power.
just to see what happened. I don't know how that happened. Okay, so
I don't know. I guess we have to carry the show, eh, Alan?
okay, good.
No,
So
we just.
Stu, I was going to say, have you got any more tips you can share with us while we wait for Niels to unmute?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Well,
definitely.
Kevin was talking about the polishing dry and keeping it using something with a hard back so that you can keep your surfaces flat. Now, I saw Nick Wheeler do a tutorial. Nope, you're still muted, Niels. Anyways, his tutorial had a piece of kind of like a polishing stick with two little handles and a piece of metal glued to it with the edges buffed round so it doesn't scratch. And he would dry polish the surface of his blades to make sure that they were perfectly flat before he moved on to finer grits. And I've employed that technique, and it seems to be working really, really well. And I'm getting nice flat finishes on my blades, better than I have in the past.
How wide is that piece of steel at the bottom, though?
Hang on, I'll get it to you. Hang on a sec.
Kevin, now we've lost Stuart, so we've lost you and we've lost Niels.
But those Nick Wheeler DVDs, those videos were very, very valuable. It was videos of Nick Wheeler that I landed getting a disc and with a speed control. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you? Yeah.
So I had a disc sander made by her.
Okay.
And
sorry, because I need it in a hurry, I can't find it, but I've got my other one.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so this is the stick I've got. This little stick I made for myself. Now this one's got a piece of leather on it, but I would have a piece of 1080. You know the shim stock we use for Damascus.
Okay.
I have that glued to the side. And I take this, and I put on my knife, and the surface of my knife, and I do it at like an angle.
Yeah.
So 45 degrees. And with the tip here, if you just take a piece of shim stock, 1.6 shim stock, and you round it and buff it, when the sandpaper folds up, it gets into your plunges really nicely, and it does an excellent job. So this is just generally a little bit wider than an average hunting knife. This is about 40 to 50 mils wide.
Okay.
And with your piece of paper folded over it, you can do a lot of work, and it actually polishes everything away really quickly, assuming that you've done your polishing right, your grinding correctly.
Yeah, and are those edges radiused on that, though, Stu?
Yes, they have to be.
Okay.
Otherwise, you learn the hard way, like I did, when you're polishing and your edge is sharp and you accidentally scratch your blade, and you have to go back to the grinder after a 1200 grit finish to grind off the scratch that you put in with the corner of your polishing stick.
The new one.
Yeah.
So, Kevin, you were saying...
save your hands from getting cramped.
What, these things?
Yeah, the wide handles on the side, where you press down with the palms of your hand.
Oddly enough, I'm so used to using a block of wood with a piece of leather glued on it that's got no discernible handle, that even after making these little polishing handles, I still hold it like this. and not polish.
Yeah.
So I've trained myself to do it a certain way, and I've tried modifying my method, and these handles have become redundant. So they're just there for addressing. I even spray painted them silver so they look like metal.
Now, when you stepped off screen, Stuart, Alan and I began talking very briefly about even grinding blade bevels on the disc sander. And it's not a method that is widely employed, but I think if your disc sander has the speed control, people should really give it a try, because if you set your speed slow on a disc sander, you're going to get beautifully flat surfaces on blades.
Yeah.
Isn't that why you had that the slightly chamfered conical disc sander made?
That's correct. Yeah, the face of the disc is turned at 1 degree, and the only reason you need that is when you make blades that have blade lengths longer than the radius of your disc. That when you put your knife against the disc sander, that the tip of the blade is not caught by the upcoming side of the rotation, and it flicks drips into your face. And,
or even gives you those little dips like you sometimes get on platens, which is really irritating.
Apparently I'm back.
Yay!
I just had to restart my entire system and hope and pray that you guys were still in the studio. So sorry about that.
That's fine.
Okay, so what are you guys chatting about now? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Keeping your blades flat.
And
with polishing and the disc sander. I like the disc sander idea, but at least I need to employ a VSM on my disc sander.
Could I change the subject for a minute quickly before I can see we've got a couple minutes left? Ilse, you're right with that.
Yeah,
so probably about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 days ago, I did an Instagram video where I took a knife and I said, right, this knife is a giveaway. I'm going to give it away to anyone who just puts a comment on the Instagram feed. Don't like me, don't follow me, none of that is required. But you do have to go out and do someone else a favor. Give them 50 Rand, be nice to your fellow man, because we are in a crisis right now, and it's really a case of just do someone else a favor.
To pay it forward, basically.
Yeah, and it worked out incredibly well. I was very happy with the results, and the guy who got the knife is really looking forward to it. And now I'd like to say, Niels, it's yours, buddy. Bro. I want you to take that out there and do something with it, man.
I will definitely do that. We had a chat earlier about this, and I've even been racking my brain because I knew you were going to do this, and I've got no idea what I'm going to do, man. But I will come up with something. Yeah, if it's going to be a knife, an old sock, I don't know, a box of, I don't know what yet. I think
box of used condoms, yes.
A mystery box. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah. So every day for an entire week, I will put something in a mystery box.
That's a cool
and
idea.
Then we'll get that off.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like it as well.
Yeah. Okay. So how is this going to work out? What's the rules of this? Do I need to post on Instagram? Who will obviously post on Facebook, and I need to say it's the 50 Rand thing, right? So South African rands, $50. You're going to give that to someone that you know is directly affected by this whole Corona thing.
I don't think it has to be 50 Rand exactly.
It's just help out, yeah. But don't help out by
an act of kindness.
Opening a door open for your, I don't know, some person that you didn't know at the shop. You have to perform a kindness, and kicking someone in the ass might be a kindness.
That could work, yeah.
Offending at least 4 millennials in 1 hour might also be a kindness, especially if it's the truth. Yeah. We'll come up with something, but I think the mystery box idea is what I'm going to go for.
Cool. I love it. I love it.
I can hear delivery bikes in the background. People have been ordering pizza because they can finally deliver pizza now.
The
delivery bikes going up and down the road.
Now, out where I stay, there's every Sunday the guys come down this freaking road of ours, which is a nice little driving, very scenic route. So the guys every Sunday there's bikers coming down, tick 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 tick, and this morning there were bikers, and not just one or two. I'm telling you, there are hundreds of motorcycles out and about. The guys are just not giving a crap. But anyway, so. We haven't had Kevin tell us a funny story yet.
Yes, funny story from Kevin.
Okay. I think Stuart might remember the incident, or I spoke to Stuart about this a long time ago, and I'm sure he'll remember. Many years ago,
I think I know the one.
Many years ago, I made a belt buckle knife, and I posted it to the customer who lived in Namibia at that time, and he phones me from the post office to just let me know that the parcel has arrived. He's just wants to let me know that it arrived safe and sound. About 3 minutes later, I get another phone call. He's sitting in his car, he's opening the box, and he's just taken the knife out, and he's extremely happy. Belt buckle knife, he called. A little while later, I get a third phone call from Namibia to tell me he's just cut himself on this belt buckle knife. It's dangerously sharp. So we told him that next time he must order a belt buckle spoon.
But then you were always also famous for a quote that I have quoted numerous times as saying, I'm a knife maker, but if I end up making spoons, even the spoons will be razor sharp.
I thought Kevin was going to tell the Bill Moran story, which was one of my favorites.
Oh, well, that's another one.
Yeah.
No, this time I ever met Moran as we were forging the tip of the shaft of the spear on the pavement with a Leatherman. So we're beating on a copper ferrule with a Leatherman on the pavement. And this dear gentleman looks down upon us, and I don't know what he thought of us at that time. It's just how they do it in Africa. It got bent in transit in our luggage on the way to Bladesville.
Oh, and that's why you were beating on it with a Leatherman in the. Okay, so that makes sense. So I do have a bit of a show and tell segment in here, and we're obviously going to focus on Kevin for this. And Kevin, I am going to show a photo, and I am wanting for you. Let me just get everyone on here. Wanting for you to just talk us through when you made this. What was the inspiration behind it? Time spent, and then specifically run through the skills that you would highlight would be required to accomplish something like this. All right, so let's start with something fairly simple.
Yeah.
So that one there.
4-inch blade length, and I think that photo has a ladder pattern to it. So it's nothing overly complicated, but it's just a clean, smooth working tool with a decorative sheath with an ostrich panel inlay. So there's no frills attached other than the tassel on the piece. But it's not a flamboyant fancy knife. It's just a functional tool, that one. Pretty wood. I can't remember what that is. Like olive.
Okay, so this knife is currently available on your website. Am I correct, sir?
Yes, that's right.
So if you go to heavenforge.co.za and click on available knives, that is the knife that you can currently get your hands on. Yeah, if you're wanting a Kevin Harvey MS knife, that one's up for grabs. Then this one, I'm going to start with my favorite.
Oh,
I like this knife.
Love dog bones.
I like this knife.
That's inspired by a historical knife. Tim Hancock has done a lot of these dog bones. There's been a number of knife makers that have their own renditions of this piece. I was inspired to do this knife out of the tutorial section in Tim Hancock's book by David Darham. It's a wonderful book if anyone wants to get hold of that. But that blade has a mosaic center, accordion cut, and then it's got firecracker twisted edges, top and bottom. So it's a multiple bar with a mosaic segment in the center. And then the handle is giraffe bone with the sheath matching the white with white stingray. It's just a really special. It's one of those memories that you make from time to time through your knife making career.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful.
But now on Bowies, give us a bit of an indication on how many knives that you would classify as Bowies have you made in your career so far?
I love Bowies. I think I might have 4 on my workbench at the moment, in comparison to maybe 1 Hunter on the workbench at the moment. So a vast majority of my pieces are Bowie knives. I specifically enjoy the historically inspired ones. The one that I'm actually working on now is inspired by a knife that might change our perception of what was considered the original Bowie knife. We all believe that James Black made that first one. There was evidence to that, but now Dr. Jim Batson has written a book. This is it here. And in there, they discussed a knife that was made by the apprentice to Daniel Searles in 1825 that was very likely the knife used by Jim Bowie at the sandbar fight. So I'm busy on a historical replica of that.
Excellent, excellent. Stuart, you obviously got that.
Yeah, so it's a big knife.
Got what?
The fact that
I'm sorry, Kevin
Bowie
keeps breaking up. I can't hear what you're saying.
Oh, Bowie number 1 might actually not be made by James Black.
No, Bowie.
Yeah.
James Black.
Oh, so there's one preceding.
They say there could be another knife that was used at the sandbar fight. Because in all it's described as a big butcher knife. So, gosh, I can't find mine.
Yeah.
So that's like
what is the length of that, though?
Left is right, right is left.
13 inch.
It's a 13-inch blade. But it's a knife, but it's got a fabricated nickel silver butt cap. It's got very interesting rivets. So it's an interesting knife.
Excellent. And
Cool.
Bowies overall, how many have you made in your career, sir?
I guess 300-400.
Way too many.
400, way too many. I like that. Which leads me into showing you guys this thing here.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin, would you mind walking us through that, please?
Yeah, so the blade has Damascus that has little images that look like a 4-leaf clover. Those started out as a coil spring. So, that's a diameter of, 20 millimeters odd, if I remember. All the fittings are integral titanium, so there's a lot of milling machine work in there. Mother of pearl held in place with gold-plated screws. And the engraving is my own. So that the engraving, you talk about time, the engraving on that knife in itself, for me, I'm not a full-time engraver. I can easily sit for a whole week or more doing the engraving on that.
So that is absolutely phenomenal.
Different disciplines of knife making. You've got the Damascus steel making, the machinist's aspect of it. You've got the embellishment in the form of the engraving. That also came with a fancy sheath. So, it's the full package.
But the fancy sheath didn't make it into the photo. Is there a second library of photos available on your website? So if the guys interested in Kevin's work, go onto heavenforge.co.za and go and just drool over your keyboards. Your keyboard will never be the same. This is all I can say. You can see the guys nodding and agreeing. Alan is smiling. This is where the term knife born was born.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Spending numerous amounts of time knives debating. All right, so now I need to put up a warning on YouTube.
Stu, why do you have to take it too far, man?
Oh, Stuart is still muted. I'm sorry, buddy. I am going to send you a real microphone, but it's not the microphone; it's the miners, right?
Bloody minor birds, yeah, and the palm tree.
Oh man. Okay. So, but anyway, maybe we should make this thing earlier.
Yeah, about 5:30 is when they start, as you can tell, you know. But
Yeah.
you said when lockdown is down, you wanted to start later in the evening anyway, so then it won't be a problem.
Yes. So you guys let me know. I see the comments are flying about a time, South African local time. So we started this at 5. I would like to move this to 7 o'clock in the evening. Let me know what you guys think about that. Either 7 o'clock in the evening or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah. Kevin, you.
I like 7 because it's like I say, everybody's home, everybody's chilling, they've just had dinner or about to have dinner, and they can sit down and watch us talk cuck for an hour.
Yeah, man. Loden's host is taking out Alan. Alan, would you mind just having a swing there for us?
Yeah, it's just share the beers, man.
Okay, this is my answer. I'm just going to mute my... Okay, Lawrence.
Well done, dude. Belinda is asking, how did Kevin get those shoulders square? I'm assuming that, Belinda, you are talking about this one here.
Yeah, I filed those.
Those were filed in.
Bandwidth, you know, so I filed those in.
Excellent. So that was
answered.
So the guys are saying apparently 7 o'clock is better. Jack is also agreeing 7 is good. He has dinner at 8. Dude, I have dinner when my wife says dinner is ready, or when she tells me, dude, you need to make dinner. Then that's what we do for for dinner. All right, so we've got more. Excellent. Have a good one, brother. All right, so gentlemen, anything else? Stuart, anything from your side?
That's it for now. I finally finished the knife that I'm happy with in the last month, and
we didn't even do that, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I should have sent you a picture of it. It's on my Instagram.
Oh man.
But yeah, the handle combination of the blue and the black, and I love the stainless steel. So yes, I'm very happy with it. So check my Instagram out, Smith Hand Forged Knives, and you can see the knife there. It is available if anybody's interested.
Excellent. A bit of clickbait there. Go. Smith Hand Forged Knives, or Smith Hand Forged on Instagram, right?
No, Smith Hand Forged Knives.
Okay,
All one word.
buddy.
You know, I'd just like to leave you with one thought that's kind of it's been something that I've always considered in knife making. Is you have an idea for a knife at 11 o'clock at night, and that idea then grows into something that becomes a knife. And it is a little bit like a fart. If you're going to force that idea, it is going to probably be a shit. So just let the idea germinate. Don't push it.
So now it's definitely a PG rating. Well, that is good advice. That is good advice. Yeah. Look, I've got another saying that says, whenever I've got an idea, I don't know if it's a good idea or whether it's a brain fart. Now you can take that brain fart and add your quip on there and saying if you force it. Yeah. If a fart has lumps, it's no longer a fart. Kevin, any parting words of wisdom from you?
Oh, God.
What do you do if it's wet?
I can't stop.
And lubrication is important. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Alan, you need to put that on a t-shirt, man. You got to put that on a t-shirt.
That would be good. You're right.
Alan, I think it's actually a good idea, man. Now, obviously, everyone is climbing in on this, right?
Oh, thank you. I needed that.
I'm going to leave you with. I didn't do an outro, so we'll do the intro again. Yeah. Kevin, once again, thank you for joining us. It is greatly appreciated. And let me know via WhatsApp if you want a link to this. Otherwise, you can check it out on the YouTube channel. Just go onto Google and search Niels van den Berg or Black Dragon Forge and link and follow to your favorite platform. If you need to get a hold of me, my cell phone number, it's on every single one of those platforms. Stuart is still laughing his ass off. Alan, where can people get a hold of you, buddy?
Oh, no.
Instagram.
That's
Just
going
on
to keep me going
Instagram.
for a while.
Alan Mitchell Blades. That's it.
Alan Mitchell Blades on Instagram. And Kevin, for you guys, it is heavenforge.co.za.
Oh, I can't.
Excellent. So once again, thank you for joining us on this. Ladies and gentlemen,
Kevin's
you guys
frozen.
watching,
You've all frozen.
drop us a comment below if you would like us to discuss a specific topic. If you are a maker worldwide looking at this or watching this and you'd like to join us in this little chat, please feel free, hook me up. And oh, crap, I shouldn't have done that. And we'll get in touch and get you in here. All right. So we're going to start the way we came in, and that is in a ball of flames. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for yet another episode of Blade Talk.